Fighters, you ever get out of a sales appointment or a sales call and realize you blew it? You're thinking about it after the fact. You're like, man, I should have done this, should have done that. Well, today I'm handing you 6 phrases that I believe will help you close more deals when you run into certain objections and situations in the sales process. Let's check it out. All right, fighters. So I want to dig in, keep this down and dirty and quick for you today because I know you're busy, you're out there grinding and hustling, you got things to do, so I don't want to waste your time. I want to give you some of my favorite phrases in the sales process, when I use them, and why they work. Okay, all of these are designed. Now remember, you can't make somebody buy, but what you can do is you can guide the conversation. And this first one I want to talk about is about not being a desperate little bitch in the sales process. And this works. The phrase is simply, sounds like this might not be a fit. And I use that, or why it works, you're pulling away from them. You're kind of taking it away and you're qualifying them. And I use this in situations when I feel like they're waffling or they're pushing for discounts and all that other bullshit, because it flips the frame and you stop being the needy contractor and you become the authority. Okay? So, well, we're really not sure, and you know, the money's a little high and whatever. Like, hey, I get that. It sounds like this just isn't going to be a fit. And I shut my mouth because I'm coming across confident. I'm not coming across as desperate. That sends a message and a certain energy to them. So use that and you'll see what happens. It's pretty badass. All right, next one I want to get into. What do you think we should do next? This works because you shut your mouth and you shift the pressure to them, because price is an objection we all get. Oh, your price is too high. It's more money than we want to spend, whatever. Okay, it's a situation that I would use this in because it forces clarity. And when you're rambling on and talking too much, you're going to kill your own deals, and this keeps you in control. So, Tom, this is $5,000 more than the other couple proposals that we received. Hey, I hear that from time to time. What do you think we should do next? And I shut my mouth. I am taking control by giving them the perception that they're in control. Okay? I'm put it on them to create a solution. If they go, you're $5,000 more than everybody, and I start justifying, overhead and tariffs or the threat of tariffs and all this other bullshit, and costs a lot of money. You're just defending at this point. You sound like an idiot, and they've put the pressure on you. I want them to solve their money problem. So I go, well, what do you think we should do next? Sometimes they'll opt out and say, hey, thanks for the transparency and not wasting my time. We're going to go another route because we don't have the budget. That's a win to me because I'm not wasting any more time with it. Other times I've had people say to me, could we do this in phases? That's an interesting question. What kind of phases do you think we should do? Again, I'm going to put it back into them. So what do you think we should do next? And the key word is we, because I'm implying a partnership between the two of us. Or, man, I'm not sure my spouse is going to go for this. Oh, I hear that a lot. I know you got to make the right decisions as a couple and stuff. What do you think we should do next to get your spouse on board? Now we're a team. See where that's going. All right, third one I want to dig into. Here's what saying yes gets you. Now, this isn't a question, this is a phrase, and it works because it paints a win for them. All right, when they're hesitating, they need a vision of success for their project. You're going to want to future pace the result and make it crystal clear why you're worth every penny. Now, if you go too crazy on this, you end up barfing on them, but practice this and role play it. All right, so Bill and Sally, here's what saying yes gets you. You're going to get a dedicated project manager. You're going to get background checked employees. You're going to get our pre-job transfer the trust walkthrough where we cross all the T's and dot all the I's. You're going to get, our 14-day completion guarantee. From the time we come to an agreement to the time the job is done, it's 14 days, and if not, we pay you $500. You're going to get our 3-year warranty with annual inspections to make sure everything's still looking good. So whatever your things are, here's what saying yes gets you. All right, now let's dig into a couple more here. If this were my home, here's what I'd do. There are times in the sales process where a prospect or potential client will ask you, what would you do? And that's great, because when they go, what would you do? That means they see you as an authority and they want your opinion on it. There are other times where they don't ask you that, And so I'll ask permission. If they're waffling between a couple different things, we're not sure if we should do all the trim and the walls and the ceilings if we're talking painting. We're not sure, blah, blah, blah. Or it could be materials that, certain type of deck material, whatever it is. Say, hey, Sam, would it be okay if I shared what I would do if this were my home? And they're going to say yes. Guys, it works because it builds trust, positions you as a consultant, not a salesperson. And people trust real talk, not sales pitches. So this phrase, again, positions you as a partner, okay? Not a pushy salesperson. So, hey, if this were my home, here's what I would do. And I've actually used it in cases where people are thinking of a bigger scope, and I de-scope it, okay? Because I want to get the first yes. I want to get in the door. So I'll just use a painting example for this one. Thinking about doing this, and this, and blah, blah, blah. And in fact, we just looked at an investment property for somebody, or it's a rental. They own the house, they want it painted, and they're not sure if they're going to do everything or not. So they're like, well, can you give us a bid for all the ceilings and all the baseboard and all the doors and all of this and all of that? And I said, hey, would it be cool if I shared with you what I would do if this were my property? And they're like, yeah. I said, I would paint the walls, and let's get them done. And then I would walk through the house and just kind of identify, yeah, let's hit this ceiling, let's hit this room of base, let's hit this door, okay? Because several times they had mentioned that they didn't want to spend too much money because it's a rental property. So I shared, if this were my home, this is what I would do. I said, I wouldn't contract to do the whole job. I said, I would just start with the walls and maybe a couple ceilings and some trim here and there. Would you like us to get it scheduled for you? And they're like, oh man, that's great. Thanks for saving us some money. So you're a partner. Number 5, this is a motive question. Okay, we talk about the motive a lot in the contractor fight in our Shin Fu sales program. Okay, it is the first step. People buy for their reasons, not your reasons, and it's your job to uncover those reasons. And so this works because I ask them basically, what's most important to you about this project? Or a variation of that. Make it your own. It works because it helps them self-identify their real motive. I've literally had this, and I'm sure some of you guys have had it too. I go, what's most important about this project? Before you get the word project out of your mouth, they're going, price. And I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. And they'll tell you more. And sometimes the more is, this is my mom's house. She's passed away, and my brothers and sisters and I are fighting about what to do with it. And we've all decided that we're only willing to spend a certain amount of money to get this house painted and flipped and put on the market so we can get it off our ass. Okay, whatever it is. Other people will say, they'll share something like, what's most important about this project? They're going to tell you something about, don't wake my babies up during nap time when the crew is working here. There's so many things, so don't make assumptions, guys. This will tell you how to sell them, how to communicate with them if you ask and you find out. Okay, you just have to ask the question and then listen. Hey, Sam, if there were 2 or 3 things that were of utmost non-negotiable priority to you on this project, what would those be? See, it's a different variation of the question. And you're going to get them to open up, and then you can peel back and go deeper on each of those. Guys, finally, we all talk about we need to sell value, sell value, sell value, right? I will politely call out somebody's head trash around budget when they keep bringing up money. We've all had these prospects. I mean, I'm thinking of somebody recently I had a conversation with, like 17 times in the first 4 minutes it felt like they brought up, I hope this doesn't cost too much. And I just hope this doesn't cost too much. And so I just said, hey, can I call timeout? And they're like, yeah. I said, do you want the cheap version or do you want it done right? And I shut up. Okay? It forces a decision about value for them. Some people don't value what we do. They just want it done, and they don't give a shit about all the things that you think are important. And so in this case, they're like, we just want it done cheap. And I'm like, all right. So I would recommend you go on Craigslist and find somebody to come paint it for you, because we're not interested in doing a project if we can't do it the right way. And I'm sorry if we're not a fit. And you just have that conversation. So do you want the cheap version or the one done right? And call it a day. So guys, listen, sales isn't about having a perfect script. It's about knowing how to steer the conversation, how to ask great questions. And these 6 phrases are just part of the tools that I'm giving you here to steer the vehicle of sales, right? So use them, own the room, get paid. And if you haven't already done so, go grab my new book called Sell Unafraid, Unleash Sales Success Through Personal Discipline. It's already a bestseller, just came out not too long ago. You can grab it on Amazon. And if you've read the book and found value in it, I would ask you, give a damn review. Help it get more hands of people that need it so that we can all elevate this industry together. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for being part of the fight. You guys rock. I got to roll. I'm out.